Hello, welcome one and all. Myself Kiran. Today I am going to give a presentation on gesture-based control system using microcontroller, and I am from Department of ISB SVCE. Subject code is 21CS44. The first, let us see the index page. First, the index page says the introduction, overview, goal, principle, block diagrams, hardware components, gesture recognition, advantages, application, and then we end the session with a conclusion. And let us see what is meant by gesture-based control system using microcontrollers. A gesture-based control system using microcontroller is a technology that allows users to interact with the device or systems using hand movements or gesture. It typically involves the use of sensors, microcontrollers, software algorithms to detect and interpret the gesture made by the user. It is nothing but a way to communicate with the device by the human using gestures, and it is accomplished with the help of some sensors, microcontrollers, and software algorithms. We will see in the next slides in depth about this. And now we can see a pictures where uh, where a person is communicating with the devices using his hand gesture. In the first picture we can see that a person is communicating with the computer using hand gesture to control the car movements where he is playing the game. And the next picture is a example of is an example of smart switch where is able to control uh, is able to control the switch using hand gesture. And the third picture says, and the person is able to control the car movements using a hand gesture, where some gloves on it, some sensors are there, and this sensor sends the hand gestures, and it will send the commands to the car, where according to that the car will show the movements. And the gesture-based control system revolutionized the way the users interact with the devices or the system by allowing them to control actions through hand, increasing adaptation of gesture-based control in various domains such as gaming, smartphones, robotics, and healthcare. Gesture-based control system is enhancing user experience, convenience, and accessibility. And we'll see overview. Let us see how gesture-based system using microcontrollers enable user to interact with the devices or system using hand movements or gesture. In the previous slide, we have seen that a person is controlling the car using his gesture, and in this slide we will see how it is done. First, the gesture sensor. The gesture sensor is nothing but it will sense the movements made by the hand, and it will record the movement. That is, the physical movements is converted to electrical signals. Here, the gesture-based control system utilizes the various types of sensors capable of detecting hand movements or gestures. These sensors include infrared sensors, cameras, accelerometers, gyroscopes, or combination of these. They capture and analyze the physical movements of the user's hands or body. And gesture recognition. The data collected from the gesture sensors is processed and interpreted using gesture recognition algorithm. So whatever the data that is collected, or whatsoever the data that is sensed by the sensor, here in this section, the data is interpreted using gesture recognition algorithm, and these algorithms analyze the captured motion data to identify specific gestures or hand movements made by the users. The recognition algorithm can utilize different techniques such as machine learning, pattern recognition, or threshold based methods to accurately interpret the gesture. The next is microcontroller. Microcontroller is nothing but a microprocessor integrated on a chip with RAM, ROM, peripherals, all those things to form a integrated circuit called microcontrollers. And the job of microcontroller is nothing but whatsoever the data that is interpreted using gesture recognition algorithm is executed by this microcontroller. And microcontroller play a critical role in gesture-based control system. They act as central processing unit that receives the data from the gesture sensors and executes the gesture recognition algorithm. Microcontrollers are programmed to interpret the recognition gestures and trigger the appropriate actions or commands gesture based on the detected gestures. The next is action triggering. Action trigger is nothing but once the microcontroller recognizes a specific gesture, it sends the commands or signals to the target device or a system. And these commands can be used to control external devices such as turning on lights, adjusting the volume of the speaker, operating a robotic arm. The microcontroller can also communicate with the software interfaces, enabling gesture-based control on application or user interface on a computer, mobile device, and other system. The next is the feedback and response. The feedback and response is nothing but once the signal is received by the target device and it has completed its response, and to indicate to the user, it has to send some feedback and response, right? That's what this feedback and response is. The gesture-based control system can provide feedback to the user to indicate that recognized gesture has been recognized uh, and acted upon. This feedback can be visual, auditory, or haptic in nature. For example, visual feedback can be change in the display indicating successful execution of the gesture command, while auditory feedback can be confirmation sound. And let us see the goal. The goal of this project is to capture a simple hand gesture from the glove and use that input to wireless control the car. Control variables include speed, steering, forward or reverse or stop. And given the two images saying one is the person wearing glove and the other is the car. With the help of the hand movement, we were able to control the car. And the principle behind this project is the project based on hand controlled assist system developed using an electronic and mechanical arrangement controlled by a programmable interface controller. And let us see the block diagram. The block diagram says accelerometer is nothing but a sensor. Microcontroller, it executes the data that is collected from the sensor. Encoder, what the encoder does is the job of the encoder, mm, job of the encoder is to The job of the encoder is to uh, enable the enable price control of the enable user to feedback and enable price control the car's motion. RF transmitter. The RF transmitter is nothing but radio frequency transmitter. Is used to amplify used to amplification and signal transmission. And RF receiver. RF receiver is used to receive the wireless signals. And the next is decoder. Decoder is nothing but it decodes what the signal is, what the signal says, and it is given to the motor driver, and the motor driver drives the DC motors, which in turn there is the movement of the car. And let us see the hardware components. Gesture controlled car consists of four main components: a glove, a circuit, a programming, and a car. And the glove components include Arduino UNO, MPU 6050, transmitter, DP, and IC. And we will see all of these components in brief in the next slides. And hand glove. Hand glove is equipped with the sensors or modules that detect the gestures or movements, and these movements include flex sensors, accelerometer modules, gyroscopes. The glove captures the user's hand movements and transmits this corresponding signal to the Arduino Uno. And Arduino UNO. Arduino UNO is a microcontroller board that serves as a brain of the GCC project. It receives the signal from the gloves and controls the various components of the car accordingly. The next thing is MPU 6050 is commonly used motion sensor module is a in gesture based control system using microcontroller. It combines a 3-axis accelerometer and a 3-axis gyroscope to provide precise motion and sensing capabilities. By interpreting MPU with microcontrollers such as Arduino Uno, it enables the detection and measurement of hand movements or gesture, allowing the allowing the accurate gesture recognition and control of the device or system. And DP, data processing. Data processing, the processing and interpretation of gesture data received from the sensors. And the next is interface protocol. Interface protocol refers to the communication protocol used by the microcontrollers to interface with the external device or a system. And it IP allows the exchange of data between microcontroller and external devices, enabling and controlling the commands and receive feedback. And the car components include battery, wire, DC motor, ULN2003A and 1293D, and register. Registers are used to store the data temporarily when the CPU or when the microcontroller is executing the data. Wires are very essential, and it helps us to connect the devices. Battery is essential to where the source of energy comes from the battery, and DC motor is used to drive the cars. And and let us see what is motor driver. Motor driver is an electronic circuit or a module that controls the movement of the car motors, and it receives the command from the Arduino Uno and regulates the speed and direction of the motion. Typically, a dual H bridge motor driver is used to control the motors in gesture control car project. DC motor is nothing but it is used to drive the wheels. That's it. Connecting wires is nothing but they help us to connect the components so that they can communicate with each other. And let us see what is meant by ULN2003A. It can be employed to interface the microcontroller with the motors used for motion control, and the microcontroller sends control signals to the ULN2003A, which amplifies and delivers the appropriate current to the motors, allowing precise control of motor movements based on organized gestures. And here we see gesture recognition, and we can see a four image showing how the various gestures are in how the various gestures are done to send signal to the car. The user just needs to wear a small transmitting device on his hand movement of the hand in the specific direction will transmit a command to the robot, which will then move in specific direction. Hand glove. Hand glove is equipped with sensors and modules capable of detecting hand movements. These sensors include and let us see how the gesture recognition is done in this project. And hand glove. Hand glove is equipped with the sensors or modules capable of detecting the hand movement. These sensors include flex sensors, accelerometers, gyroscopes, or combination of these. Any user moves their hand while wearing the glove. These sensors capture the corresponding changes in the hand motion or orientation or finger flexion. And the next is the sensor data processing. The sensor data from the hand glove is sent to the Arduino Uno for processing. The Arduino Uno reads the sensor data and applies appropriate algorithms and filters and convert the raw sensor readings into meaningful gesture information. The processing can involve various technologies such as signal filtration, data normalization, and feature extraction to extract relevant information from the sensor data. Gesture recognition algorithm. Gesture recognition algorithms are employed to interpret the processed sensor data and recognize specific gestures. And these algorithms analyze the data based on predefined gesture patterns or machine learning models to identify gesture like swipe, rotate, grab, or release. The algorithm compares the captured gesture information with a set of predefined gestures, template, or users machine learning modules trained on labeled gesture data. And the next is motion control. Once a gesture is recognized, the Arduino UNO generates corresponding commands to control the motion of a car. These commands are sent to the motor driver connected to the Arduino Uno, which regulates the speed and direction of the car's motion. For example, if forward gesture is recognized, Arduino Uno sends a signal to the motor driver to make a car move forward. Similarly, different gestures can be triggered can trigger specific motions like turning left, turning right, or stopping. Advantages. Let us see the advantages. Traditional interfaces, keyboards and mouse presents a bottleneck. Application that that rely on heavy interaction of the user with the machine due to the due to the unauthorizedness of interaction. From reading lots of related articles, we have learned the recent efforts have attempted to eliminate the bottleneck by developing different ways of interacting with the computers, for example, speech or handwriting. And application gestures can be used to control interaction for entertainment purpose such as gaming to make game players experience more interactive and impressive through the user gesture recognition, remote control with the way of a hand or various devices is possible. Industrial applications for trolley control, lift control, military applications to control robotics, medical application for surgery purpose, and construction application. And the conclusion: this technology advances in computing, sensor devices, materials, and processing and classification and techniques will make the next generation of this device cheaper and more powerful, versatile, and more ubiquitous. Thank you.